Hello, everybody, and welcome back to On the Diamond and Into the Deep. As always, I am your host, Mahal, and there's not much to say. Um, Today's episode is sort of gonna be winged. A lot of it's for me just sort of breaking down um, where the team is at. They have now lost 5 in a row against the Tigers and now the Pirates. So they are now 3.5 games out of first place with the Astros still to play tonight. And the Astros have a series against the Chicago White Sox, and I cannot really see them losing another game in that series after they lost last night. So by the end of the night, you're going to be 4 games back with about a month and a half to play. And in terms of the wild card, you are 5 games back now. So that's just about going to be out of reach by the end of this weekend. Mariners are in a really bad spot. There's not really any way around it. They are in a really, really bad spot. They have been the second worst team in baseball. Thank you to Adam Jude, Daniel Kramer, those who have posted that. They're the second worst team in baseball since June 19th, which is when they had the 10-game lead in the AL West. So in the nearly 2 months, they have lost the 10-game lead in the AL West, and they are now probably going to be 4 games back by the end of the night. And you look at it is August 17th now. If you look at August 19th, you probably will see the Mariners at least 5 games out of a division spot and very likely 7 games out of a wild card spot, which is it's truly unacceptable what this team has been doing lately, and changes will have to be made, whether that is a change that needs to be made now or a change that needs to be made in the offseason. A lot of changes are going to need to be made. I'm going to give just 3 points really quickly in terms of where I think the team's at, what needs to happen here. Number one, you have now made it so you have to sweep the Dodgers as well as win tomorrow. So win the next 4 and then have a really, really good homestand in terms of winning just about every game during that homestand. You're going to need to win every series, basically. You're kind of at the point in your season now where you really have to win every series from here on out. Or if you aren't, you're going to get to that Houston series on August or September, 23rd, 24th, 25th, and you're just not even going to be in it. But you're working right now to even have a shot by the time September rolls around. It's August 17th. By the time it's September 1st, this team could be 6, 8, 10 games back, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least. As it's looking right now, you could be 5 games back tomorrow afternoon. You could be 8 games back by the end of the Dodgers series if you get swept and the Astros sweep. And you could be heading into your homestand on August 23rd, a month from the start of that Houston series that you really thought would be for all the marbles. And you could be 8 games back of your division spot, which all but secures it for Houston. And it sucks. It really sucks. In terms of, like I said, 3 points. Number one, you really got to win every series from here on out, and that starts with winning tomorrow and then winning the series in LA. You've forced yourself into that spot. Number two, you need your bats to really perform better. As much as I'm going to talk about Scott Service and the coaching staff and Jerry DePoto and the ownership in this episode, I also do want to mention that the players just have to play better. It's really simple in terms of that. The dudes you expected to be good heading into the season to be your core dudes were J.P. Crawford, Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh. Now, Cal Raleigh's been really good, obviously, this year. He's been solid. He's been your best hitter. He's been your best player in terms of your lineup. But in terms of Julio Rodriguez, J.P. Crawford, they haven't been near good enough. And obviously, they both were hurt in the past month, but they also just have not been good enough. And in a moment where you're really vying for a division win, like for the first time since 2001, you got to be better than that. And they haven't been near good enough. Julio Rodriguez has been not himself this year. I just hope, in terms of for the franchise, for him, for really everyone involved for baseball, because he is great for the game of baseball as well. You hope that he can turn it around, figure it out this offseason, get more into his legs, as there are some serious mechanical issues right now with his swing. He's been really good defensively, obviously, but it's in terms of his bat, it's been nothing. J.P. Crawford had his career year last year, and I'm not sure what you can expect from him next year. And that might mean that you have to start relying on Cole Young at shortstop a lot more next year, which is not something that you would really want to do for a young dude. Obviously, it's exciting to see what Cole Young can do, but in terms of 2025, you don't want to be like relying on a rookie up the middle. Like that's not something you want to do. You're more than likely going to be picking up Jorge Polanco's option right now, the way he's playing. And that means that your biggest holes are going to be first base, third base, and how are you going to upgrade those? You're probably not going to have a ton of money, so where is that upgrade coming from? Maybe you are going and trading a Luis Castillo and then signing someone like, will you be able to get Alex Bregman for that money? I don't know, but if you can go get someone like an Alex Bregman to really shore up that spot, that would be a really big acquisition. But we'll talk about the offseason when it comes to that. In terms of my third point, I want to touch on Scott Service and the coaching staff. Now, this coaching staff has been in place, the core of it, for 9 years now. So, if you want to do your math, since 2015, 2016, I believe. Let's see. Since 2016. So they have been in place since 2016. Now, I don't really buy into the whole thing where they've been there for 9 years. They've had one postseason appearance, because that's not entirely on them. The roster that they had from 16 through 18 was sort of hamstrung due to the contracts of Felix Hernandez, Robinson Cano. Had you gotten the Felix Hernandez you expected, you're probably in the postseason one of those years, and you just, yeah. But you just wipe those for now. You also are going to wipe the rebuild years, so 2019, 2020, you're going to wipe those. In terms of what I'm looking at when I'm looking at this coaching staff and this regime, is I'm looking at 2021 through 2024. Now, 2021, they overperformed expectations. I think that's very likely due to Scott Service and ownership. Not ownership. Scott Service and the coaching staff. Definitely not ownership. Due to Scott Service and the coaching staff. That was a really good year for the regime, and Scott Service probably should have won AL Manager of the Year that year. Now, when you take that into account, you're like, oh, well, why would you get rid of him? Now you look beyond that. 2022, really bad for much of the season. They go on the 14-game winning streak in the middle of July, and they find themselves in the postseason, breaking the drought that year. Again, sort of overperforming expectations by the end of the year, which is good to see. They won the AL wildcard. They got to the ALDS for the first time since 2001. So that was a good year for the regime. And then we come into two really rough years. 2023 underperformed expectations severely, missed the postseason the year after breaking the drought, and this is where problems started to arise. You saw issues with Scott Service's bullpen management. You saw some issues in terms of vibes and energy for the players in terms of series at the end of the year. These are series you have to win. You look at the Houston series, you look at the Texas series is at the end of the year. Those are series you had to win. Now, part of that's because you really were burnt out on your rotation, which carried you much of the way, and you needed your best bats to be there for those series and to pick up big hits, pick up some runs, and they didn't really do that. And a lot of that, again, is on the players. But you then come into this year, and you have expectations, again, to get back to the postseason. That is the expectation. Right now, that doesn't look like that's going to happen. So changes need to be made just on the facet that that is failing. Now, part of that, obviously, is because ownership hamstrung Jerry DiPoto, Justin Hollander, the front office during this offseason. And I actually really liked a lot of what they did when you consider those barricades in the way. Like, when you consider the wall that they had to break through to be able to work this offseason in terms of monetary restrictions that they were given, it really was a solid offseason. And you look at their roster, and it doesn't really make sense to me, at least, why it's performing the way it is. I tweeted this out a little bit ago, but you look at their roster for next season, all right? And it is actually not that bad of a roster. There are some very clear spots you need to upgrade. I've talked about already: first base, third base, and we'll get to that in the offseason. But the rest of the roster should be performing better than it is. You're DHing Mitch Haniger more than likely. You got Garver as your backup catcher, who you expected to be a DH this year, and he has been a really good hitter for most of his career. Polanco's been a really good hitter for most of his career. And then you've got Julio Rodriguez, who should be your superstar. You've got Randy Arozarena, who is your star underneath him. You've got JP, who should be at least a league average bat. These dudes should be league average bats at the very least. And they haven't even been that. If you had gotten league average seasons from all these dudes, you're in a completely different spot than you are right now. But you've gotten worse than league average from pretty much all these dudes, and that's the problem. How is it possible for your entire roster to perform below their career norms so significantly? And obviously your pitching staff is remarkable. But I truly believe that comes down to approach and pitching, or approach and coaching. For me, when I look at why I believe that Scott Service should probably be moved on from this offseason, it's simply due to the fact that they are underperforming how good they should be. And I'm not saying that they should be good enough to go win the World Series, but they should be good enough to win a division, this year, when you look at how this division has been. The Astros shouldn't have been in it at the deadline. They shouldn't have been willing to go get Yusei Kikuchi because they knew they had an opportunity. Or at the very least, if their opportunity was there, it should have been for the wild card. That shouldn't be because you dropped a 10-game lead over the course of a month. That's on you. That's on the players. That's on the coaching staff, in my opinion, because you are underperforming and you should be better than you have been. It's unacceptable. It's something needs to be changed. And should Scott Service be fired tomorrow? It's possible, just due to the fact that the vibes are getting so bad that this type of thing can bleed into years in the future. But there are problems that aren't just even in what is like in sight of the fan. Like there are problems with this organization, with this franchise, that we can't see as fans. That I can't see, that you can't see. The people that need to be able to see those are the ownership and the front office. Those are the people that need to see those. The problem is, a lot of that, the ownership is so inept that they can't see it. They don't know how to go find it. And for me, that's why you need changes to be made in terms of that too. You need them to realize where the problems are. You need them to go talk and figure out with people where the problem is. And I believe that one of those people is Kyle Seager. Kyle Seager left this organization in the dust. And was that because of Jerry DiPoto straight up? Or was that because of other stuff? And I would like to believe that's because of a lot of other stuff too. And he knew something about this organization and about this franchise that we don't know. I think that he knows something, and I want to know what he knows. I want to figure out what he knows and why he isn't around ever. And it's not just because of some beef with Jerry DiPoto. That's not the only reason. There's something with ownership. There's something in that is truly like a bigger problem than we know, that he knows about, but is not getting solved. I want to know what that is. I think it's the same thing with someone like a Teoscar Hernandez. I believe he probably knows something as well. He knows something about the bat. He knows something about why the lineup isn't working, why people are struggling to hit. And is it just completely a mental thing? And if it is, then you need to figure out why that mental thing is happening and what you can do to change that. And is it because of the ballpark? Maybe. And if it's because of the ballpark, do what you can to change that, to get it out of their head, just so that you can free them up for the possibility that even just freeing their mental space up will be able to fix that. There's a lot of problems. A lot of problems with this organization. A ton. But first and foremost, we need to figure out what the problem is and why hitters come here and struggle to hit worse than their career norms. There is a serious problem there, and that problem needs to be solved yesterday. That needs to be figured out and solved ASAP, ASAP. And that's not going to be this season, and the season is probably now a wash. I'm just looking at Twitter to see if there's anything news-wise. Even media people calling out Service, and it feels to me as though this guy should be gone post-game tomorrow. And if he's not gone post-game tomorrow, he should be gone by the end of this road trip, because you probably are going to lose tomorrow based on what you've been doing. You're probably losing at least 2 out of 3 in LA. And if you do that, you are in a really bad spot. And you have to call up young dudes, give them shots, see if they can invoke some energy. Because the energy right now is bad. It's really bad. And I believe I've talked about this before, but I'm going to talk about it again on why I think the energy actually, for me, is the biggest thing on why I think Service needs to go. I believe he's lost the clubhouse. Like, simply put, if you can't get your guys fired up day in, day out in August and September for baseball, and a chance to win the division for the first time in their career, for the first time for the city in 20 years, over 20 years, for the first time in 23 years, if you can't get them fired up to go make a run for the postseason, that's a problem on you and them both, but also on you. You've been able to do that every year of your career. Why can you not do it now? Why? He should be able to do it. He's done it in the past. He's got these same players fired up before. It's like his message isn't hitting anymore. And I don't think it is. I think that's the problem. His message isn't hitting anymore. And it's causing these players not to have enough belief to go out there and beat these teams that they believe are like lesser than them. And really, that are lesser than them. You have a better roster. You have a better team than the Tigers, than the Angels, than the Pirates. You should be able to beat all those teams. You should be able to win series against all those teams. But you can't even get enough energy to go put up a fight at this point. There's no fight in this team. It's like they don't care. It's like they don't want to win. And that's, again, an issue on both the players and the coaching staff. But I think a change in coaching staff can help that, because a change in coaching staff can help these dudes get fired up, help them figure out how they can find the energy to go want to win, to go win, and to go play your heart out for the city, for this team that they have said that they cared about, that they've played like they care about before. Look at how they played on Sunday Night Baseball against the Mets. That was the team that you see cares. Why can they not do that at other games? Why can you not do that when there's not a national spotlight? You have to be better. Everybody in this organization has to be better. And you're already letting the division, the postseason, slip away from you for another year. And you're looking like you're going to fall into another rut of a 5 to 10 to 20 year postseason drought. And it's not because you're cursed. It's not, cursed is not a real thing. As much as it feels like this baseball team is cursed. If you want to know how cursed they are, go watch the Dorktown documentary that on YouTube. Mariners Dorktown. Go watch that. I might do the same after I record this, because I want to go remember all the history of all the cursed moments. But there's no such thing as being cursed, so they're not actually cursed. As much as it feels like it, you are not. You can win these games. You can go win the World Series. You can go make the World Series. You can go make it to the ALCS. You can go make the postseason. But to do that, you have to fight. It's a grind. That's baseball. That's how it is. If you can't do that, if you don't know about the grind, if you can't put in the grind, and I know they put in work day in and day out, but if you're putting up so much work then outside that you can't even put work in the game, that's a problem too. You have to work your butt off in the game, outside of the game, day in, day out, every game down the stretch. And we're down the stretch now, and I know that they're working outside. You hear it every day. They're putting in so much work. but you don't see it in the game. You don't see any of it paying off. So what is that work actually doing? If anything, it is highly possible that that work is doing more bad than good, as they're in their heads, as they're developing habits that they're not actually able to bring into the game. These are problems that are from coaching staffs that need to help lead the team. You need a staff that has been around the block. And I don't know whether that means it's a dude that's a younger manager like a Stephen Vogt, and they are younger, they can relate to the players better. Someone like a Mike Cameron. Like, can you relate to the players better as well as manage and get them fired up? Like, can you do that? Because you need someone that can do that. And the problem for me right now is, like, I don't think Scott's good enough, and I don't think he's able to be the dude. It doesn't seem like that. But who is that dude? Who are you going to go get that's going to be that dude? You're not going to keep someone that's already on your staff because you need a change. There's a serious approach issue in terms of hitting. So how are you going to fix that? And it's not just firing the hitting coach. It's firing the whole staff. It's getting rid of the entire staff. There are more problems than just that. And is the approach coming from that staff, or is it coming from the general manager in the front office? Where is that approach coming from? And I think it's probably from the coaching more so. But why is that a thing? Go find someone that knows this game, that can go speak to these players, really drill stuff into their head so that they can go play, go work, and do it in the right way. Go put in work in the right way, day in, day out, to find success in the game. And who's going to do that, I don't know. But you need to figure it out ASAP again. Because you're running out of time for this fan base that has been fired up for the first time in 15 or 20 years. But you're losing that fan base again after this year. You are. You're going to lose that fan base again. People are fired up. I'm fired up. Are you going to lose me? Probably not. But are you going to lose other people? Friends that I talk to day in, day out about the Mariners. But they're not diehard baseball fans. You're going to lose those people. You're going to lose the kids that are entertained by this team and love watching this team. Because this team starts losing. They're not fun to watch. They strike out so much. They don't get on base. And they have dudes that are actually a lot of fun. Victor Robles, Randy Arozarena, Julio Rodriguez, J.P. Crawford, Cal Raleigh. These are fun guys. But it's not fun to watch. And why is that a thing? Why are you not fun to watch when you have players that are fun? If you have fun players, you should be playing a brand of baseball that is fun. Go have fun. Go hit. Go play like a kid again. Find your love for the game. These players seem to have lost that aspect. It's a game that you love. Go play that game. That is what matters most. Go play the game that you love like you love it, and it will work out. But they're not even doing that. And you need a manager that can invoke that into them, that can speak to them in that way, so that they know that, oh yeah, I love this game. I love playing this game. It's not just a job. I'm playing this game. This is my job because I love this game and I want to succeed and I want to win and I want to win the World Series and make the postseason and go get a ring and go hang up a banner. That's what it's about. It's not about personal success, is it? It shouldn't be. It's about team success. If you can think of one achievement that you want as a player, as a baseball player, as a kid, the dream is winning the World Series. It's not winning an MVP. So why does that change? It's not just about you. It's about the team in general. And their approach right now is horrific. And it is making it seem as though they don't want to win as a team. They don't trust their teammates to come through if they just go draw a walk. Well, maybe because your teammates aren't coming through, yes. But you need to pass the baton. You can't just be swinging for the fences, striking out. And I'm going to throw out Randy Arozarena here. Struck out 5 times today, a lot of them in big situations. Julio Rodriguez does the same thing in big situations. You just need to knock the ball the opposite field and get a hit. That's all you have to do, drive in a few runs. And then you pass the baton to someone else that can hopefully drive you in as well as others in. Like, the game is simple, really. It's very difficult, yes. But these dudes play it day in, day out, and they've been doing it for years. Why does that change when they come to Seattle? That is the problem that I want solved. And that is the question that I'm going to leave you all with following today's episode. This will be releasing on Sunday, 8 a.m. But again, the question I'm going to leave you with is, why do these guys come to Seattle and lose what they have? Lose their success, lose it feels like their love for the game, lose the idea that they just need to pick up a hit. That's all that you need to do. Why is that what's happening? Is it the ownership? Is it the specific players? Is it the coaching staff? What is it? And whatever it is needs to be solved yesterday. So peace out, y'all. Go Mariners. Hopefully they can figure it out and just rattle off a couple wins here and stay in it. But it's not looking likely right now. I'll be back late next week, probably doing an episode. It probably will be Thursday, I want to say. Dropping Friday pregame, I would like to say, is probably when this will come out. Or well, not this one, but when the next episode will come out, following the Dodgers series. If they go fire Scott Service, I'll be posting videos on my I'll post YouTube shorts, TikToks, probably post a little video on Twitter and Instagram. All of those are at Diamond and Deep. If you haven't already followed, go follow. I'll be tweeting whatever throughout the week, throughout the weekend. If they fire Service, I'll try to record an emergency pod. I'll be out of town the beginning of next week through Wednesday. So we'll see about that. If anyone's going to the Tacoma Rainiers game next Wednesday, the Stitch God game, I'll be there as well. Come pull up, say hi, let's talk some ball, talk some Mariners baseball. But peace, y'all. Go Mariners.